Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today I'm going to do the first of my brand new skyscraper facades to join these three over here. Yes. Well, with bigger rooms comes bigger wall space, and that means we have a lot more space for facades to do their job of suggesting that the city goes on ... into the distance. And we're doing all right so far with our moon facade and our enlarged castle. And I've brought down all of the ones already from the old Legaroo and put them on bases so I can move them around a lot more easily to alter the perspective anytime I want. But they are getting lost, some of these smaller ones, behind these sort of deeper tables than we ever had before. So I'm kind of thinking the smaller ones need to be liberated and maybe put on walls like this one where we can see them a bit more clearly head on. And then I can create loads of high-rise ones which give us a skyline all the way from our space tower to these three over here. And they just need to look kind of good from further away with kind of a lower resolution, if you see what I mean, bigger pieces maybe, or maybe some repetitive sort of formulas going on that make it look like they're off in the distance, because that is what the facade level is supposed to represent, the city going on and on and on into the distance. So I think having all of this wall with tall skyscrapers eventually will make it look like the central business district is that away. So that's what we're going to do today, by building the first of about 3 or 4, I forget, new facades that I've had designed. And this one uses some really interesting and bright pieces that I think will look absolutely great against my new sky blue walls. So, cool, let's get started. Oh, and incidentally, I've got loads of amendments for the skate park from last time, but I'm going to do those next time because I need a few more pieces from Brick Halls first. Talking about the old Lego room, a few of you have asked about progress and how dismantling is going. And, well, the short answer is not that well, but I have been making quite a lot of progress the last 2 weeks, with the end goal to return it back to being a guest bedroom, which Mrs. Hood is very keen to get going. So I've been kind of separating the major elements from each other, and putting them in boxes to be cleaned and then transported to the new Lego room. So yeah, there's bits absolutely everywhere, everything turned at the wrong angle. It might look like it's all sort of still joined together, but it is in sections that should be transferable. And the hardest thing is that I need the tables first to put things back in their place downstairs. Yeah, everything is on the tables, isn't it? So basically you have to kind of shuffle everything up or to the side or whatever to free up one table. And then you can take that down, give that a clean, and then start bringing things down to put on it and then repeat. So I managed to get the surface level table out from here, and that one from that hole there. I think this one is the sort of subway table that's going to be coming out next when I've moved a few more things. And then, yeah, I'll slowly get to the other side of the room. I kind of want to get the fairground out, but yeah, that's going to be an absolute nightmare to do until I've moved all of this stuff in front of it first. So yeah, slow progress, essentially. All right, on to the facade build. Well, this one was inspired by the fact that I'm having a change of bridges in the city. Yeah, I know that sounds weird to start with, but essentially in the old city I had a grey one made out of big girder pieces and a blue one made out of rails, which I'm keeping in the new city. But the grey one, this one, is getting replaced by the brand new red Duplo bridge, which, let's face it, is awesome. So essentially all these pieces are free to be used, well, as maybe a monorail bridge for my tram system or something else in the future. But I started to think about using these rather large girder pieces as something else, maybe the cladding for a skyscraper. And I thought that would make a really interesting facade that looked a bit like the Bank of China building, if you know that one, in Hong Kong. A very sort of iconic looking building that has these zigzag sort of structures, almost a support network for the skyscraper on the outside rather than buried in concrete on the inside, or at least it looks that way because it probably is just made of concrete after all. So I started playing around with these pieces in LDD, having kind of a bland building on the inside and them stuck on the outside. But given that they're grey, the whole thing looked a bit drab. So in classic Robin Hood brick style, I ended up spending more and getting something different instead, which was 4 of the same piece in the only other colour that is available, orange. But wow, that doesn't half sort that drabness problem, because this against grey or the back wall of blue will look absolutely striking, I think. So instead I've got 4 of these to make my facade with, a relatively drab building office tower on the inside of this structure. So essentially I played with these 4 pieces, both in real life, kind of putting them together. Do they want to be like that, or maybe like that, or maybe I could have them sort of pointy end to end and have that as the side of the skyscraper going kind of up that way. You know, all different combinations possible. And I did that as well in LDD to kind of see what looked best. And I decided that this was the best shape for the top of the building. Let me put it in front of Robin so it's a bit more visible. And that would give us this rather interesting sort of diagonal front, which I thought I could do with a very interesting sort of sloping roof in the middle, and that would make it even more interesting, because it's a bit boring when a skyscraper kind of stops with a flat square roof at the very top. So that would get it even more interest and make my skyline look even more fun. So that's what I decided to do. So if that was going to be the top, then basically the bottom would have to be, well, the opposite of that. Basically a point coming down with the structure leaving some triangles unsort of girded that would be available for doors or something like that. And because it was now triangular, I thought I'd have the whole thing at 45 degrees. So the kind of diagonal was flat to the wall and the spine, if you will, would be facing us at the front. So that is what I decided to do. So I think today I'm going to start by building a section of the kind of boring grey tower, and then we can stick these things on the outside and wonder at its awesome orangeness. Incidentally, these only came in 2 sets. They're pretty hard to get hold of if you want to get them in number. It took me, I think, 4 successive brick hauls really, but essentially they come from 2 sets. 4210, the Coast Guard platform from 2008, where they kind of make up the horizontal structure of the platform itself, and 7709, the Sentai Fortress from 2006, where they're kind of hidden in that picture right at the back as just some weird structure. But yeah, very good, very bright, and yeah, you could almost go to the top of the ceiling of the Lego room actually by just getting more and more of these and just having them sort of alternating so they're always sort of fitting together. You can reach any height, but yeah, I think 4's enough for now, given the difficulty that I had getting them. Right, cool. Let's get started with some bricks and start off with that triangular grey boring office block section. Oh, it's build time! This is where I always get really excited, because for the first time I'm going to see physically what I've only designed digitally before. And well, will it look as good as it did in the pictures? Who knows? So we'll find out very soon. And that anticipation is made even worse by the fact that, of course, I've had probably most of these parts for a while, and I have to basically not build it, even though I want to, until I'm ready to show you at the same time. So yeah, that anticipation builds and builds. So I've tried to keep the cost of the inside of this building to an absolute minimum, using really cheap pieces wherever possible, just because, well, it's going to be hard to see inside through the windows and through the girder pieces at that distance to the Lego wall. So yeah, why spend loads of money on it when you don't need to? So each floor is made out of a couple of wedge plates and a 6x6 plate with just a tiny triangle tile to fill in that little gap. And that gives us this profile of the wall cross section and then the 2 points jutting into the room that will be supporting the girder pieces. And obviously that'll give it a much different profile from the ones that are already there. So if I just use another one of these to give it a bit more support from underneath, and the outside will be given support by the kind of window structures, which is next. So we'll have 3 on each side. No, that's wrong. That one wants to go over there. And to complete the kind of triangular profile of each floor, I've added in these kind of, well, wedge slopes, I suppose you call them, curved wedge slopes. You can now get the tile that has that sort of profile, but essentially it's just to, if I line up the camera perfectly, kind of complete that triangular profile. It'll always be attached to the floor below, but fill in that tiny little triangle of gap, if you see what I mean. So that is why I've included those, and I had those and they were cheaper than the new tiles. So yeah, that is the profile from the front. And just to fill in this gap, I've got a 1x1x5 brick with a couple of plates and a quarter tile on, because that point from the roof above goes right down to there, and essentially, yeah, it's very close margin. So I think that is exactly where I need it to be for it to work perfectly. So then I'm going to bring in another floor, and this one is going to be underneath, and we'll build this in the same way, except for this time when we do the very corner, we'll have basically a 1x1 brick in the top, so essentially it will line up with the tops of the window pieces fully, and then that can line up with this and make our first kind of section of Skyscraper. This is where it doesn't go together very well, or does it? Ooh, yay, success. So you can see that that kind of crudely fills in that gap in the floor. Again, we're not going to see it very much, but yeah, it's better than it being a gap, if you ask me. So that is 2 floors, looking very nice indeed. Now the floor above is going to have that roof really cutting into it, so it needs to be built a bit differently. So I've just got another wedge plate on the front here. And that gap at the back is just resulting from the fact that I can't support that tile anymore if I'm just going to push that there. I could use different plates underneath, quite frankly, but I haven't bothered, because I figure the very, very top floor is kind of where the, I don't know, winding gear is for the lifts and for the air conditioning units and all the rest of it. So it's probably going to be empty, and it's got much fewer windows anyway than the floors beneath it. So that's looking pretty good. Just to give it a bit of stability, I'm going to add a brick layer on the bottom here. And this is the kind of extra bit of level that's going to support the Technic connections for the top set of girder pieces. So that goes like that. And, oh, hold on. Let me get this right. Does that have to go like that? Let's line this up. Yeah, I think we need to have... No, I think I had it right the way before. There we go. And then we can bring in our Technic pieces like this in 1x1s. 1, 2, 3 and 4. We will have 5 and 6 as well, but again they'll be supported from the floor underneath, sporting these on the very top. So there we go. That's looking pretty nice if you ask me. Then for the top section, we're really starting to bring in this diagonal sort of section to accommodate the roof, and I've done that just by having a repeating sort of modified brick and staggered windows, of course, and another Technic pin right at the very top there for the one on the point of each of these sections. So that must go there, like that, and its opposite number must go there, like that. And then we have, I'm going to have to kind of pull back and wind up, I think. Yes, that really triangular sort of cross section for the angled roof to come in with loads of different modified plates. That looks really good, doesn't it? So now we can add our first 2 sections of orange, and I think it's going to look absolutely amazing. So I'll just put that in there, put that on there. Will it go? It's hard kind of lining up all these holes at the same time, isn't it? And then that onto the bottom one of those 3 holes. It's on. Is it? No. Yes, it is now. Wow, that looks cool. Bank of China building, eat your heart out. That looks great in orange, doesn't it? Let's get the other one on before we judge it too much. Put that one in there. This will get attached to the floor below, so it won't be hovering for too long. And then that can go in there. No, that's not going in. It's still fighting me. There we go. Right, I think we're in. That was harder than I'd hoped, but there we go. There is the top of the building. Wow, look at that. That looks absolutely great. That is everything I hoped it would be. Wow. So you can see into here and here on every floor. Less into here. We're just going to have pretty much a small section of wall in there once we've got that solid filled in. But yeah, these floors do need an interior, so I think we should get on with that. But I'm going to do them quite basic. So I'm going to do two different types of floor. One is where the little minions are doing all of their work. So essentially I've got them a small desk with a computer on, and they are part of the cross-section in a way, because that desk has been chopped off by the guillotine that is the wall of the Lego room. So essentially their desk might be slightly bigger, or maybe there's somebody else just sat inches away from them. And then they've got a little chair each as well, just sat at their terminal, where they're not allowed to leave until they've done all of their work. And they're under the cosh. Yeah, I kind of want this repeating theme to be loads of people doing really drudge jobs in a big tower. So that looks all right from the back, but that's not where we're going to see it. We're going to see it from the front. And yeah, we can see the white computer, and I think we'll be able to see the body in there when we get some minifigures in as well. We could have somebody walking around like some manager type as well if we wanted. So that's good for that floor. And then I thought I'd have a different sort of floor to kind of break it up and maybe alternate between the two, where we've got a great big boardroom table, but just again a segment of it because it's been chopped off by the guillotine. So we have to kind of line that up with what will be the Lego room wall, like that. And maybe here we've got some plush leather chairs as well for the executives. You know, they spend a lot more on themselves than the little minions who do most of the work. There we go. Put that in there. Very nice. I kind of think of that as being a really big table with loads and loads of chairs around, but those two. And then I've got this. What could be more appropriate? A sales forecast that is literally going off the chart. Stratospheric. Right up and away. And that came in the set 70809. Lord Business's Evil Lair from 2014. And I just thought that that would be a great thing for them to be looking at, perched on the table. And the fact is, I wanted that because I thought it'd be big enough for us to see from a distance. Well, you might not be able to see the red line from a great distance, but you can certainly see their shared view of a chart. So yeah, if I get some business types looking at that, pointing at it, then I think that scene is sufficient for our tower. Brilliant. I think it will pop more against the bright blue wall as well. So that'll be really good. Cool. So there is our first segment of tower, and I'm very happy with it indeed. We have to do the lower segment as well, and we also have to do the very interesting diagonal roof. And I think because that's more interesting, we'll do that next. Wow, that looks really good if you ask me. Very angular and modern looking. Love it. And you see I've put some minifigures in just to give it a bit more of that content. 2 at the boardroom table and 2 at the terminals. Looking very nice indeed. And I've used some really superfluous minifigure pieces. You'll see they've all got the sort of standard old school minifigure face, which is less useful in the city. Kind of Harry Potter hair and things like that are less useful. And they've actually all got police torsos because, well, I've got an absolute load of them. And they're not the police force that I'm going to be using for Brick Nottingham. So essentially, I found that I had 10 of these, that combination of just buying with sets or people sending in. And when they're all sort of facing away from us, well, we won't even tell that they've got lapel badges. So I think that's absolutely fine. And yeah, at least it looks populated. Very cool. Right, so the next section is this triangular roof. And obviously it can't go back sort of further than this kind of line because that's where the wall's going to be. We don't want it sort of jutting forward because of a lumpy roof. And we want it to go right down to this point and follow this trajectory here. So yeah, that's easy said and done. You've got to really play with all the tolerances. So essentially, first of all, I'm going to have a dark bluish grey level. And I've got some of these rail pieces for the very top level just to make it really snug with the wall. Then some wedge plates and plates coming in different combinations to a point. So I've got some of these really sort of modern, really pointy ones as well. Had to get on Lego bricks and pieces, and then more wedge plates right down to the front. So you see that is what we're going to build. And then to tie it all together, we need, well, a second layer, of course, that's different, that will combine it all. And for that, I'm using dark blue because I tried all different colours in LDD, trying to get this roof looking right. Well, different brick styles as well. At one point, I was going to tile it and stuff like that. But essentially, what worked best with the orange and really looked good was dark blue. And you can get loads of different plates and wedge plates in dark blue. So I thought that that was quite a good idea. So that is what I'm going to do. So you'll have to bear with me while I put on this dark blue level. But essentially that'll be following the same profile as the grey one, but probably bring it in slightly. And I've had to use, it's quite difficult actually. I said that there are plenty of wedge plates in dark blue, but there aren't really. Well, there isn't the variety, let's put it that way. So I've had to buy an absolute load of these tiny, tiny ones with the two studs on and a kind of a wing type bit. And we're going to have an absolute load of these on the outside, just bringing it in tiny bit by tiny bit with this grey lip, which actually looks quite good when it's all in. But yeah, I kind of thought I'd be able to get the same larger pieces in dark blue and bring it all together. But I think the end result will be worth it. So you see, yeah, it's kind of working with this nice grey fringe, but yeah, probably using a few more pieces than I'd originally intended. So more plates, 1x2 plates to fill in little gaps that get created by these tiny pieces, and we can continue bringing it together. Then smaller and smaller pieces as we get to the pointy end. That's the technical term for it when building roofs. And then the final bit of grey. And then the final bits of blue. 2x2 in the middle there. Two more slopes. And then just to make it incredibly pointy right at the very end, I've got a couple of curved slopes, the same ones that we had in dark grey with the kind of angle on them as well, to really bring it in together like the nose of an aircraft almost. Like that. Oh yes! So that basically fits in there and has a very nice angle to it. How about that? Almost sort of glints in the light, doesn't it? Reflective. I like it. Oh, look at that. But I don't want to just rest it on the top. Hold on, let's check the profile. Oh, yeah. Oh, that is perfect. It's like a knife chopped it down. You see, it just needs that rail, doesn't it, at the very top. That is almost millimetre perfect. So that looks great. But how to hold it in position? Well, you see I have a slight attachment point on the back here. That's just to remind me of the alignment when I add this, with just a column of bricks with a turntable piece to get the 45-degree angle, and then a hinge brick to get the other angle. And then you can kind of play around by adding individual plates in this column and individual plates kind of in this diagonal setup in order to get the spacing exactly right. And I think that this is it. And the reason why I've used a clear set of bricks for the 1x2x5s is so that when we see it slightly from these sides, it looks, well, as invisible as possible. But, you know, it isn't entirely perfectly positioned, but I think it'll look good when we give it its turnaround. Ho, how about that? That's not far off where I placed it and balanced it. In fact, with this really crisp edge, it looks absolutely perfect. That is as good as it looked digitally. And let's check the cross section as well. Yeah, that is lined perfectly as well. Oh, this is going rather well, if I do say so myself. And you see the tolerances down at the point are very, very small, which is why I had to put that tile in there, because just that one more stud top would have knocked it off position. But yeah, that looks great. This is going to be great in the city. Now, on these big skyscrapers, especially in Lego when you use dark blue colouring, you think, what would they do on the roof? Well, in any modern building, they'd have some sort of energy creation. So I thought I should get some solar panels, usually used on dark blue pieces, to, well, it's clearly very lit up by my filming lights, so it generates a lot of electricity, to add some solar panels. And I thought, what solar panels would look best? Well, I found some wonderful sticker sheets on a recent haul, and they were these. kind of shiny ones on the foil. And we've got these lovely ones that go on a 2x6 tile, or at least can be cut to fit on one. I'm not sure if that'll work, or whether I have to just use loads of these. And these ones that do definitely fit a 2x4 tile. So these look a bit wider, because I think originally they were on those big 7x3 flag pieces. So I don't know if we'll be able to cut them down or not. But I quite like the fact that they say solar on them. It's kind of like the branding. You can read that in all the reflections of the solar panel. So yeah, I'm going to try and use these big ones, but if not, we'll just use all the little ones and use those on some flag pieces in space or something like that. Maybe on the surface of the moon, who knows. And they all came from the set 60350 Lunar Research Base from 2022. And I managed to get 2 of them. Lucky me. Right, so I've got 2 sheets of that. A great big bag of 2x6 and 2x4 tiles in dark blue. And I'm going to chop or just stick those onto those and arrange as many of them as I can on this flat surface. Wish me luck. Dun, dun, dun. Ooh, shiny. Nice big array of solar panels making that roof look really interesting, if you ask me. I didn't manage to keep the word solar on the bottom of the big ones because I've really had to trim them quite a lot. Each one I had to take a very thin sliver of foil off each end, as well as chopping off that solar word. And golly, it was stressful actually, because, well, I had to try and get them all even and the flat edges flat, which I have kind of done a bit, which is fine from a distance, but they also were backed on foil, unsurprisingly, given their sort of shininess. And it kind of wanted to tear rather than cut sometimes with a knife. So yeah, it was quite stressful trying to trim off sort of frayed edges and all the rest of it and get them looking relatively even. But yeah, as I say, from a distance, that gold and dark blue looks very high tech and lovely, and I think goes really well with the orange as well. It'll look absolutely amazing in the Lego room with the all the lights in the ceiling glancing off it. But yeah, close up, a little less so, a little less even, and with some kind of little tears. Well, tiny ones. Maybe I'm overcritical, but yeah, it was definitely a stressful procedure. You need a very, very sharp knife. I used a new blade, but there we go. There it is. Oh, in position, and that looks great, doesn't it? Reflecting the light. Wow, I'm already very happy with it, but it's not a skyscraper yet. It's just an odd-shaped building. It needs to be at least that much taller. So I better get building the next section, which will have another 3 or 4 floors, I forget. And we'll have another boardroom table and loads more tables for the minions to do all of their less important work. Yes, so it was 4 more floors to make it all the way to the bottom. The first 3 are complete duplicates of the ones above. Minions, boardroom minions. And yeah, we've got the extra layer of bricks here for the top now of the next section of girders to go down from, connecting at all of these points. So that will be underneath there, clunk. And then at the very bottom, we've got some slight variation. First of all, in the floor to make it nice and solid. So we've got some connection points with the actual ground, terra firma. And also on this section, just where we've got the additional Technic pins to take the pointy section that's going to go in here. I think on the first stud, first hole rather, and the third hole respectively. So they'll all work as well. Slightly asymmetrical, but I doubt anyone will notice. And it's right near the bottom, so yeah, you definitely won't notice really. And everyone's hard at work. I've positioned all the minions kind of leaning forward, like they're got a lot to do. So basically that needs to go under there. And I don't know if I want to even try and do this with you all watching, but go on, I'll give it a go. Well, that's gone together quite well. Let's see if this side does as well. Yeah, that's worked. Right, I don't know if I want to show you this live, but I'll give it a go. So lining up 1, 2, and 3. Well, that all went quite well. See if we can get the 4th one lined up. Doesn't look like it wants to again. Oh, got it. It has though. There we go. Yes, we've got 1 in. That should give it a bit of strength for the second one, though it was the second one that was the difficulty last time. So let's see. Has that worked? I think it has. Oh, so there's our bottom section. Looking nice. Just as interesting. Just as Bank of China building. E. Really cool. So now comes the moment of truth, which won't really work very well for you because we've got the camera sort of zoomed in like this. But if I put one on top of the other, we'll be able to see the complete picture. And it looks, oh, it's amazing. You wouldn't believe how good it looks. Well, all joined together for the moment of truth, seeing it in real life for the very first time. And, oh, wow, that looks absolutely amazing. Those solar panels on the roof and the angular roof itself just look absolutely amazing. I'm glad I spent the time doing all of those. When the light hits them, it's just absolutely perfect, isn't it? Wow, but that orange, it just pops. So you see what I mean now about making some interesting facades using some interesting pieces, and the fact that it's jutting in that triangular profile into the room rather than just being another square one is also really interesting. Wow, that orange is vivid, isn't it? Absolutely vivid. It looks great. Now the only question that's really left for this build is, well, whether I want to get two more of these girders and make it even taller. That would mean we'd lose the sort of pointy section at the bottom. It would become flat, of course, because the 2 points would be point to point. I kind of like it at the angle it is now, though it won't be the tallest of all my buildings by a long chalk. But yeah, it's very nice, isn't it? And I love the fact that you can see the minions through. Look, there's that sales chart. And all the people hard at work. Looking good all the way to the bottom. It might be that I need to put on a very bottom floor underneath this just to lift it all up, you know, just something that's just solid brick or just a panel or two or something like that. So we have the interesting bit kind of above street level, because we've got the monorail going in front of this with the tram on as well. So yeah, we don't want it getting buried when it looks this good. Well, what do you think of that? That has got to be a full-blown success if you ask me. But you let me know your comments and what you think about that in the comments section. Yeah, let's see how it looks in the Lego room. But wow, on the building desk, it looks magnificent. Well, if we're going to have this whole run with skyscrapers, we're going to need quite a few, but that is a pretty good addition, if you ask me. Yeah, it's got some good bulk to it as opposed to these very flat ones, hasn't it? And those angles look really interesting. And again, that orange, yeah, it really does pop against the blue wall. That is a very interesting and good looking building. Now, it does have a drawback in that it does stick out quite a lot more than the others, in that it won't actually fit in the 8 studs that I leave between the wall and the railway track. And then there's a similar sort of distance required for the clearance on the tram, because although the track's a bit sort of further away from the wall, the vehicle that goes on it, being these trams from 60097, they need a bit of clearance as well. So it won't be able to get past them either, which is why I've put it here partially, because I'm going to have the tram line coming in a bit, because this area over here, when it's on the proper table level, will have an airport on it and stuff, and it'll be the sort of airport shuttle link and all the rest of it. So yeah, it needs to come out from the wall a bit and kind of shimmy and meet up with it about here, sort of right in front of the airport building and so on. So it will go past this, which is sort of annoying because it will break it up with a great bit of horizontal track. But then again, it might do a curve round and leave us seeing most of it. And also, obviously, the railway track is bending out of the way already, so there's no issue there with it going in the kind of armpit of track there. And I think that's actually to its benefit, because it allows us to see that full sort of orange downward arrow in its full height, in its full majesty, being in that position, because it's kind of past the row of modulars right off the end before they may pick up again. I don't know exactly how it's going to work yet, but you get the idea. So that pokes up above the skyline when you look at it from sort of over here. Different colour, definitely a very different shape, looking really nice. Kind of looks a bit similar to the Snap bridges, if anything, in green and yellow. We've also got a red one of those to go somewhere else. But then here you can see it on its own, nice and open. And then, just stepping over a lot of obstacles of trains and stuff on the floor. Over here, when we come into the Lego room, we'll be able to see it in that side profile like that. And that looks really good as well. So yeah, some kind of bridge structure pieces used in a very interesting way. And yeah, we haven't even mentioned the solar panels. I might have to almost get a directional light. Oh, there we go. There's some light reflecting off it. Yeah, I was going to say I almost need a directional light so it's aimed at this. So it's glinting off all of those gold foil stickers. But yeah, if you get the angle right, it does shine off them already. So that's good. Yeah, so could it do with another pair of orange girders to take it up literally to the next level? Or do you like the downward pointing arrow shape? I'm kind of torn between the two. If there was a square section in a similar sort of style, I'd get that and just put it in the middle. But yeah, I don't know. I suppose the size of the wall could take a taller building, most certainly. But I just like that kind of downwards arrow shape on the bottom. But you'll have to tell me what you think. Definitely happy with the colour. The fact that we can see some of those scenes through the gaps. And as I sort of dance over all of the trains on the floor, I'm just going to see if I can see that sales chart. Oh, it's a bit harder to see now, but you can see it. Probably easier in real life than on camera. But oh yeah, there's the sun hitting all those solar panels. Yeah, I just love that dark blue. Oh yeah, really works well. Cool, I am happy with that. If my other 2 or 3 facades come anywhere near to that standard, then I'll be very happy indeed. But even with all 2 or 3 of them, because I can never remember how many I've got going on, we'll probably only fill, well, up to about maybe there. And then, well, we'll still have room for 2 or 3 more, or maybe 2 more after that, 5, I don't know. But yeah, it might be an endless job. So if you've got any great ideas for pieces I could incorporate into a facade, then yeah, keeping cost in mind, I'll be glad to hear them. But you know what? That might be my favourite one to date. Obviously, I love the Kong on the top of this one, and I love the naked man hiding on the balcony on this one. But yeah, just for pieces alone, that is pretty special. So as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. Do also remember that you can support this channel by clicking on one of the many links in the description below. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, we'll be doing a haul on Wednesday on our sister channel, Brick Hall O'Clock. And that will be a package from Tricks Bricks, because I need a fair few things to make my city even better, and one in particular to make my bridge crossing, double bridge crossing down here, even better. So I'm looking forward to unwrapping that. And then next week we'll be doing another build in a city, which may well be down here, I think, doing the cliff edges and putting those bridges in, or maybe moving my turtle lair over to near the skate park, which is where most of you think it should go, extending this cross section over here with lots more sewer pipes. So until all of that, see you. Yeah, that is lovely. Very happy.